glad you all came. I'm going to talk today about hypertension. I went to a camp meeting in Georgia Cumberland Conference about 2 years ago and heard a very interesting lecture. I had never put hypertension with forgiveness until I heard this speaker. His name is Dr. Dick Tibbetts from Florida Hospital. A real quick overview. I'm going to talk about what is hypertension or high blood pressure, what causes it, what are the signs and what are the risk factors, what harm can come to your body if you do not control your high blood pressure. Can holding a grudge increase your blood pressure? Then forgiveness, what it is and what it is not. 3 dimensions of forgiveness, 10 principles of forgiveness, and then 3 phases. What is high blood pressure? What is blood pressure? Blood pressure is the force of the blood pushing against the wall of your artery. Your blood pressure is highest when your heart is actually squeezing or pumping. This is called systolic pressure. This is the top number. The higher the number goes, the harder the muscle has to squeeze to push the blood out. So that's making your heart work harder. Then when your heart is at rest, between the beats, it's called your diastolic pressure. And of course, you want that number low too, because you want your heart to rest between beats. So what is too high? You're considered to be hypertensive or high blood pressure if your blood pressure is taken 2 or 3 times in a 2-week period and it is consistently the systolic, where that top pressure is 140 or more, and or either one, your diastolic pressure, that bottom number of when your heart's at rest, is at 90 or more. What is the prevalence of hypertension in the Philippines? The health survey found here in the Philippines about 7 million Filipinos suffer from hypertension. So what causes high blood pressure? There are various causes. Usually it's the narrowing of the arteries. This is usually because of a lifestyle choice and the diet that you're on, lack of exercise, and a high-fat, high-processed food diet starts to clog your arteries with fat. We talked about the fact that you may not know you have high blood pressure. You may not feel sick at all. The only way you may find out is to have it checked. Risk factors for hypertension, things that you cannot change or modify. Aging, family history, the race, the African Americans are at very high risk. Those are things you cannot fix. But we're going to go to hypertension risk factors that you can modify or change. The number 1 on the list is smoking. If you're greater than 10% above your ideal body weight, you're at much greater risk for hypertension. If you eat a diet that's very salty, greasy, and fried foods, we talked about that being just feeding the clogging of your arteries. If you regularly drink alcohol, your taste was adjusted to what you grew up with, and that's what you want. That's what you crave, especially when you're stressed. But if we can break that cycle and teach our kids a healthier diet, they will learn baked things instead of broiled things instead of fried things. Let's start talking about, is life fair? Life is not fair, but most of us believe it should be, right? When you are not treated fairly, you often try to win an apology from somebody. You really want them to say, I'm sorry, right? You think they weren't fair to you. You become hurt, you become angry or resentful. And later on, you withdraw from life. You don't want to see that person. I hope I never see them again. I hate them. They were mean to me. I'm very angry about it. When you're holding this grudge, who is being hurt the most? You're actually hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself more than anybody else. The only way out of this cycle is to forgive. And as Adventists, we need to follow the biblical perspective on forgiveness. So there's 3 dimensions of forgiveness. We're going to talk about the relationship forgiveness, a spiritual forgiveness, and a personal forgiveness. According to the book, there are 10 principles for forgiveness. The first one is, accept that life is not fair and others play by different rules. God wants us to forgive others as He forgives us. God wants us to be healthy and to lessen the suffering in this world. God really wants us to be whole. And our body and our spirit are one. We have many dimensions. We have spiritual dimensions, we have physical, we have emotional, we have mental. God wants all of those dimensions to be whole and healthy. That is God's plan for it. You feel good. You're no longer the victim. You're victorious. I'm very glad you came. The last few minutes here, if you want me to check your blood pressure, I do appreciate you coming, and I hope you can come back next week and bring a friend. Welcome and happy Sabbath. I'm Cindy Bankhead, and today I'm going to be presenting a topic on hypertension and forgiveness, how these are related, and what is God's plan. So welcome. An overview for today, we're going to talk about hypertension, a quick review, stroke and fast. We're going to talk about fair and holding a grudge, forgiveness. We're going to talk very briefly about choice and the elements of choice. We'll look at the study that was done at Florida Hospital, and then we'll end up with how to change a habit. The American Heart Association says every citizen should know this thing called FAST. This is the detection for stroke. You want to look at their face. Is there that droop that I talked about when they smile? So if Grandma says, I'm really, really funny, you say, Grandma, please smile. See what her face looks like. If both sides go up, that's a good sign. Okay, Grandma, hold your arms out. You can even have them close their eyes. And if they close their eyes and they're having a stroke, one arm's going to start dropping and go down. They cannot maintain it. The S is speech. Is their speech normal? Are they finding the words they want to say? Are they saying them clearly with the accent they normally use? The T in the fast is time. Whenever your brain is not getting oxygen, time is brain tissue. Same with the heart attack. Time is tissue. Florida Hospital did a study of forgiveness training for 1.5 hours each week for 8 weeks, and they did not allow any other lifestyle changes. They wanted to see just what forgiveness and blood pressure correlations would look like. Participant 108, their beginning blood pressure was 144/97, and it dropped by the end of the 8 weeks to 130/81, which is normal, just by practicing and learning more about forgiving. Instead of feeling bad, feeling hurt, feeling anger, forgiving is going to give you purpose and hope for the future. I want to thank you all for coming, and I hope you've learned something about hypertension and forgiveness today. Those of you who have time to stick around, we'll have a little discussion time. I'll also be able to take some blood pressure.
Just shoots up, yeah. And he knows when it's shooting up because he will say, I need to lie down.
There are stress-reducing classes and stuff. There's do a lot of research on it. And I can't say it's just from forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? There's many things that culminate in stress management.
My blood pressure is higher than you. I'm not worried. Oh, but the doctor said, no, you have to take medicine. So 140 for myself, that is before. I think that is normal. But because our group there is sometimes 150. They didn't go to the doctor. I said,
When your heart, the older it gets, the more stressed out your heart muscle is. You need your pressures the lowest, because then it's very easy for your heart to squeeze. So really, when you take your medicine and your blood pressure is 110, that's good. You need to keep taking it, in my opinion. But you need to get a doctor that you trust, that you will follow constantly, because you need consistent care. It's going to tell on you.
I know. Now I know the problem. Not explain to me.
Did you turn this one off? Did you get the tip?